radio.org.
When should you wear a mask? For almost everyone, every time you go out. Like for coffee, when you ride the bus, or head out to care for your parents. When you go to work, spend the afternoon at the park, or pick up some dinner on your way home. Whatever you do, wearing a mask is essential because it works to prevent the spread of COVID-19, and it helps keep Washington open. Mask up to open up, Washington. Coronavirus.org. This message brought to you by the state of Washington.
Join Rainier Avenue Radio from 5 to midnight for Sunday evening sound sessions. Jazz from the cabinets from Big Papa.
That's right. It's time once again. Jazz from the cabinets with Big Papa.
Sergio Lacour's Love Lines.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio Lacour. Go to the phone line. Tell him who we're talking to.
Sage Prince, Just My Opinion.
This is Sage. That's just about better do it for the first half of Just My Opinion.
Hey Fox, Night Beat with Nasty That's Audrey.
The beat of the Fox. Hey Fox, Night Beat, Nasty That's.
You know what? You're going to listen from 5 to midnight. Just turn it on and don't stop. DJ Alibaba. The underground surround sound start time with Paul Pierce.
Yeah, my name is Paul Pierce.
Sunday evening sound sessions on Rainier Avenue Radio. Trust me, you'll be listening the entire time from 5 to midnight Sunday evening. Your sound session on Rainier Avenue Radio. The Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, empowering communities and changing lives. The Urban League has been there to serve when our community is at its lowest. It's never mattered what the crisis was. The systemic oppression remains constant for those most vulnerable. Here at the Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle, we'll be temporarily adjusting our hours of operation and available services. If you are in need of resources, we recommend that you give us a call at 206-461-3792. To make an appointment, press 0 to speak with the receptionist. Walk-in hours will be from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. And hey, we'll gladly work with you via phone as best as we can if you're exhibiting any signs of illness to assist you with information to save your home, find you a place to sleep, or connect you to job opportunities. The Urban League of Metropolitan Seattle. That's 206-461-3792.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.org. Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.org, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
My mic is muted. Welcome. Welcome to the Queen Greens Living Show, broadcasted on Rainier Avenue Radio. I'm your girl, Queen Bree, and here with Robyn T. What's going on, Robyn?
Hi, Queen Bree. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We are coming to you from unceded Duwamish territory here in what is also known as Seattle, Washington. The original theme music for our show is produced by Kenny Fresh, aka Carrie Williams. And I do have a quick farm update before we get into the show and announcements. There was a planting party that went down this past weekend. If you want to volunteer or sign up for our CSA weekly farm box, please go to our website, cleangreensfarmmarket.com. We have an amazing show for you today with an amazing guest. So I will let Queen Bree kick us off and get us started and tell us what you're in store for today.
Well, I'm excited about your announcement, and I'm also excited to hear that some of it is sprouting. And also, we had a kids seeding party, 2 weeks ago, and their stuff is sprouting too. Check that out on our website on Instagram. It is so cool to plant and watch the seeds grow. So I'm excited about this show too. But before I get in, let's talk about some announcements. Rainier Avenue Radio Women History Month and doubleheader of high school football. So check out all the cool shows on Rainier Avenue Radio. It's Women's History Month, and we're all highlighting women of history. So check us out on RainierAvenueRadio.com. Also, this Friday night, Old Day and Seattle Prep will be playing at 5 p.m. along with Ballard and Rainier Beach at 8 p.m. Wow, Rainier Beach is really getting in some play. Hopefully they're winning some games. So check out the boys and support them at the Memorial Stadium. That's Old Day and Seattle Prep and Ballard and Rainier Beach. So I'm excited to get this show started. We have Ty Valsquez. I should have
I think Velasquez, and she'll probably be able to.
Right. Sorry, Tay. We love her. We know her, but I've never tried to pronounce her last name, and I always want to get it right. So sorry, but we have Tay coming on to talk about mindfulness, and she's going to highlight someone from that she wants us to know from history who is alive today. So if we could bring Ty, and then I'm gonna just be reading her bio while she comes on. Ty Valquez is a Chopra Center certified sound meditation instructor. Her greatest joy is helping people slow down and get still and find inner guidance. As the founder of Experiences by Ty, she facilitates this process through meditation, mindfulness, holistic movement, vibration, sound therapy. Ty has taught meditation and mindfulness to adults and children from ages 40 to 20, some children with documented disabilities, some who are just as involved, and many in traditional educational institutes. Prior to mindfulness, she worked for Four Seasons Hotels for 20 years. She is devoted to her family, friends, and causes she believes in. Welcome, Ty.
Hi, Ty.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, y'all. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you? I'm so excited to jump in. I'm all like, so, okay.
Together too. Good God.
So, Ty, I know it's Women's History Month, and we wanted to hear from you who you wanted to talk to us about. And I know you mentioned Dr. Nadine Burke Harris.
Yes.
She is still alive. Women history does not mean that the people have to be dead and gone. This is women still creating history right here, real time, right now. And she is the first Black surgeon in California. So, Ty, can you tell us a little bit about her?
I can. And first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited and nervous to be here. But it's nice to see y'all. I miss seeing you in person, by the way. So here's my virtual hug. So I wanted to highlight Dr. Nadine Burke Harris. She is the state of California's first Surgeon General. So we have a Surgeon General of the US. She is the first California Surgeon General, and she happens to be a Black woman. And she is a pediatrician that really believes in the importance of social and emotional well-being as part of overall well-being. I can't see y'all anymore. Can you see me?
We can see you.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. You're just highlighted. They see you.
Okay. I'm like looking for y'all for like
we'll
some
be back.
security blanket.
I know, right?
So
you're doing great.
Thank you. So she is the first Surgeon General of California. And like I said, she really believes in the social and emotional wellness as a component of like overall health for kids, and realizing that trauma is really detrimental and affects kids' health, and really believes in mindfulness as one of the many tools for wellness. And she has a book. We talked prior to this show about how we're all have a whole bunch of books that we want to read, but we haven't gotten to it. So I'm trying to pick it up. Her book is called The Deepest Well, Healing the Long-Term Effects of Childhood Adversity. So not only is she a doctor, not only is she the first Surgeon General of the state of California, she's also an author. So I have her book. I haven't started reading it yet, but I wanted to highlight her for Women's History Month. As I learn about her, I invite y'all to learn about her too. She's really dope.
Thank you. And we did check out the TED Talk. It was really nice and informative to know that they are looking into things deeper, because, they always want to give out medicine. And they always want to just they just want to diagnose somebody real quick. But she's getting to the bottom of like where you're from, what your background is, and all that. So I love that they're starting to focus, and how she went into, I can't remember, I don't know if she said it on that TED Talk, but they went into an inner city area and opened up practice and was able to get medical care. And I really love that.
Yeah, I think it's the Hilltop neighborhood of San Francisco, which is historically Black. I think Hilltop is the correct name of the neighborhood. But she talks in that TED Talk about the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, and things that, many people have experienced in childhood that are traumatic, that carry over, and through our lives. And if they're not addressed, they can affect our health. So shout out to her for understanding that, there are a myriad of things that affect, our health and wellness.
Yeah, nice. And I know some of her wording was like, if we're not in the medical practice, it'll kind of go over our head. But then I liked how she broke down how the trauma can reconfigure some genes in you, and
Yeah,
that affects your health and your mental health. And people
that's
don't really think that far into it. They're just like, here's some pills, go, and that's it.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Trauma lives in the body, but the cool thing with genetics is you have the ability to like change some of the stuff that's happened for you. You have the ability to help change your body and recreate, or not recreate, like create new neural pathways to do things better and differently.
Nice. Thank you. See, I learned something.
I
Go
learned
ahead,
a lot
Dr.
too.
Navy. You said what?
Oh, I love how she was saying that when she learned of this, she thought it would just flip the whole script and the whole medical community would jump behind it. And then she realized, because it's amazing information, like once you know it, you're like, oh my God, we can heal people and let's all get on board. And then she realized it was such a bigger movement that needed more like this, like almost like grassroots talking. And I am so excited for this book, because this is the other side of it. This is like how we heal, because she laid out the information in the TED Talk and it was so fantastic. And it was like, oh my God, now that we know, what do we do? And this book I'm so excited for. So it's going like high on the list.
Well, maybe we can read it together. I've had it for like a few months.
Oh yeah, we'll do it together. Like we do it together.
Don't be ashamed, girl. You out here teaching people how to be still and mindfulness. So we gonna get this book together.
All right.
We are all mothers. We talk about how we have a list of books that we need to get read. Before I had children, I could read a book in a day and a half. Now it's taking a little longer. So maybe we can get together and have a little book club. But I love how women and women of color are coming in and changing the game. They're like, I'm not just here to learn. I'm here to make some changes.
Yeah.
And so I was excited. And I need to send it to Dr. Alicia. I don't know if I've heard of her or talked to her, but it'll be cool to talk to Dr. Alicia about, because they come in and they know that there's a need in the and with families of color, but they're getting down to the root of it and making practices and teaching out. So I'm grateful for Nadine.
Yeah, as am I. And I'm looking forward to learning more about her. So we'll learn about her together.
Me too. And so speaking of Dr. Nadine and mindfulness, this is how we have Ty here to talk about mindfulness. And I was sharing with Ty the first time I experienced mindfulness. I was like, what is going on here? Okay. Our kids go to school together, and we were on the what is it called?
Equity team.
Equity team.
We were on the equity team together. And before we started, we did mindfulness practice. And I have never experienced mindfulness practice. So can you imagine me going to the meeting and they're like, okay, close your eyes. And I'm like, wait, I got trust issues, first of all. Oh, you want me to close my eyes? But it was funny. I was like, what is happening? It was mindfulness. She taught us how to be still, be in the moment. And at that moment, I thought it was crazy. But as I went on, I used that practice till this day. So I appreciate you. And I'm glad to have you on. And I want to talk about what you do. So can we start us off first, what you do?
Yeah, thank you for asking.
You're welcome.
So when people ask me what I do, I like to say that I help people slow down. And then I just sit for a moment, because in Western society, we're not used to slowing down. We are used to multitasking and going at this ridiculous pace to the point where we're just exhausted. And we don't value stillness. Like, we don't value rest. And even myself, when I was working at Four Seasons, it was almost like a badge of honor for me to say, oh my God, I worked a 12-hour day today. I'm so tired. I worked a 10-hour day today. And I think it's because, I liked hearing people say, oh my gosh, you work so hard. Look at you doing all this stuff. And like, that is to my detriment. And so I had this career with Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts, and everything was going well. It's what I went to school for. And I ended up having what I call a midlife awakening. And work was starting to get really stressful. And ultimately, I had someone that was very, very close to me end up in jail. And that shook me to my core. And I had a really hard time managing and coping with the fact that this person was in jail. And so I found a lot of different practices to get me through, and meditation and mindfulness were some of the practices. So I ended up going deeper into meditation because it's something that really helped me manage my emotions. And I ended up studying at the Chopra Center with Deepak Chopra, and then getting my certification to teach mindfulness. And initially I got certified not because I wanted to teach, but I just wanted to understand more about this thing, meditation. Like, what is it that is really resonating with me? So I got certified simply because I wanted to learn more. But in the process, I realized I can actually teach this to people. And I figured, if meditation and mindfulness is helping me through this really difficult time, perhaps it could help other people. And I started working with adults. And then eventually I started working with kids as young as 4 years old. I started in my son's pre-K class when he was in pre-K, just seeing, like, let me try this on with them. I was using a curriculum from Mindful Schools. And I was like, let me just try this on with them. So I'd come into their class for 15 minutes twice a week, and we would do some practices like breathing practices and different things. And then soon after, parents would start coming up to me saying, are you doing something with the kids? Because, so-and-so was at home and she was having a hard time and she was about to melt down. And then she stopped herself and she started this breathing practice and calmed down. Like, what are you doing with the kids? So that to me was really powerful, realizing that, 4-year-olds can do this too. And mindfulness practices were so instrumental in me staying steady during that tough time. Like I said, I wanted to be able to share it with other people. And I also realized, if this is helping me as an adult, what if I had tools like this as a young person? Not saying that my problems would have gone away. The tools would have helped me navigate my emotions with a little bit more confidence, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we mentioned that Ty, like she just said, she goes into the schools with the children too, and they practice mindfulness, sitting still. And that is so important. And it is important for adults too, to take the time to sit still, because then you're in the moment. And when we're not in the moment, we're not thinking about feelings. We're not thinking about our feelings. We're not thinking about other people's feelings. We are just in the moment trying to get things done. And I feel like I was in that space when we were in that meeting of like, okay, let's get this out. I need to get this home and do this.
Yeah.
And I was missing the moments.
Well, and what's funny about that, I'm so glad you said, because you weren't going to tell me that. Remember, Bree?
I wasn't.
And I'm like, let's bring this up, because especially for people of color that might not have been exposed to mindfulness, they're like, what is this? And I feel like half of the battle is for me just showing up, right? Representation matters. And these practices that help bring stillness, people of color need. Like, we all know what's going on in this country, right? And we deserve rest. There are a lot of people that say rest is a form of resistance. Historically, our labor has been exploited. Historically, we're expected to perform, right? Whether or not it's entertainment or sports, or you gonna do this labor for us as enslaved people. And so the idea of rest as resistance is really important. And I just wanted to share the definition of mindfulness that I use. And I also work, my day job is as the Director of Community Engagement for Space Between, which is a nonprofit that does mindfulness in school. So that's what you were referring to, Bree. The definition we use is mindfulness is paying attention to the present moment with curiosity and compassion so we can choose what to do next. So as you mentioned, Bree, it's about being present with all that is, because oftentimes we spend a lot of time kind of ruminating and having regret about something that has happened in the past, or we're worried about something that could happen in the future. And we completely miss what is happening right now in the present. And all of our life happens in the present. And one thing that's really important to share, Bree, is you're talking about stillness and being calm. Mindfulness is not always about being calm. And I think that particularly sometimes when it's introduced, especially for kids of color, sometimes adults want to introduce mindfulness like as an intervention and as a way to like calm kids down, and that's not necessarily what it's meant for. It's about being present with all that is. And sometimes when you have a consistent mindfulness practice, sometimes you might find that your body ends up settling or that you end up being calm, but that's not always the case. Like sometimes what is that we're pissed, or what is right now is that we're really stressed or we're really sad. But mindfulness is about allowing space for those emotions to exist. Because if we end up suppressing like a lot of anger, or we end up suppressing our rage or our sadness, it will come out in unhealthy ways. Or it could, not it will, but it could come out in unhealthy ways, right? And so, again, the idea is to be present with all that is. I'm going to pause because I could just keep going on.
Oh, no, you're fine. And just pause to even just pause on what you just said.
Yeah.
It's to be still and be with your emotions. And like you said, we talk about being Black in America. A lot of the times we have to, our people of color in America, we have to sometimes ignore those emotions to keep on going for so many reasons. We have to ignore those emotions for keep on going because now that they don't get that labor for free, they like to say we're lazy. So now we're trying to prove a point that we're not lazy, so we keep going. We've been hurt so much that we realize as people of color, you don't have time to sit in that hurt because there's work to be done. And we talked a lot about like with that when I watched the Natalie Cole movie, her mom resonated with me because my mom was like that. It was like, I don't have time to sit in these emotions because if I do, I will break and there's work to be done.
Yeah.
But as when people of color, we have to take that time to be in those emotions and be in those moments because there's a reason, and we're not crazy. There's a reason why we're in these emotions.
Yeah, that's so real. And especially, generations that have come before us, did not have the luxury, if you will, of slowing down, right? Like if I slow down and if I allow myself to feel these emotions, like who's going to catch me? I think that's possibly how it was for them. And my hope is that as we grow and as we learn more things, that we as a collective start to learn these self-care practices so that we can start catching each other. So let me take my breath, like let me get my rest, let me fortify myself, and then I can help you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
That's so beautiful. And when we were speaking before, just to that point, Bree, you gave me a new saying, catch me in the overflow. And it's like taking care of us first. Tell me about that. Catch me in the overflow. Tell the listeners for this.
Okay. So we have been, on Thursdays, we have Bible study at my church, and we've been going through, our pastor wrote a book, 11 Principles to Living, and we've been talking about all these things. So long story short, it was talking about overflow, making sure, like, it was like, in the Bible study, it was talking about dig into the deep, right? It was talking about a scripture where Jesus told Peter to throw the net into the deep, and Peter didn't trust that anything would happen. And when he did, he had enough fish to share with everyone. And in that lesson, we talked about if you trust in Jesus, you'll have overflow, right? You trust in Jesus, you walk with him, you'll have overflow, and you do what it is that you're called to do, right? But a lot of the times people are trying to give and they don't have anything to give with.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, and with this mindfulness, it made me think that I can't keep giving if I don't have anything to give. You catch me in my overflow. And once I'm following and taking that time to sit, because even in the Bible, it talks about meditation and Jesus talks about being mindful of others. So once you sit in that stillness and you're sitting in this moment, you're getting this action to be able to do something. And once you're getting that action to be able to do something, now you have this overflow to give to other people. Did that make sense?
Yes.
That's where I got it from. Like, now I'm telling everybody, catch me in my overflow. I have nothing to give you right now. I can sit and figure this out, and then I'll be back.
Yeah, I love that, Queen Bree. And thank you, Robyn, for that reminder, because you say, catch me in the overflow. I'm going to start using that. I say, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like you cannot pour, like if there's nothing else to give, and specifically for women of color and for Black women, like this might not be cool with other people, but I feel like the whole idea of the strong Black woman, I feel like that has to die. And what I mean by that is, why do we have to martyr ourselves and like give for everyone else, and we are completely depleted? Like we are completely depleted, and there's something wrong with that, in my opinion. And so that's why I'm saying we all deserve some stillness. We all deserve to fortify ourselves. The movement does not need any more martyrs.
Right.
The movement does not need any more martyrs. We need rested soldiers, because this stuff is going to keep happening, right? And we can't pour from an empty cup. So I feel like, you know, in terms of like my calling and what I'm here to do, there are some people that are on the front lines of the movement. And I'm like, when you need rest, you come to me. That's how I feel. Like, that's how I feel. That's where my place is, to help people find their stillness. And just really quickly, Bree, how you were saying there's things in the Bible about rest. There's what is the scripture that says, be still and know that I am God? Right? It's not talking about like action.
Like, I'm not translated as, I know the scripture, but I'm not, no, we'll put that up, but there is, be still and know that I'm God. And to talk about how Jesus went into the wilderness for 40 days to get peace and meditation. And I know this is a radio show, but we'll still put these scriptures up that we talked about, because it's important to know that peace, regardless of which religion you believe in, most religions talk about sitting still.
That's right.
Sitting still is where you are able to hear clearly.
That's right. Oh my gosh, that's so right. And you know, mindfulness is not a religion in itself. However, there are contemplative practices in a lot of religions. We just happen to be talking about Christianity, but you're absolutely right.
And before we continue, I want to say that if you're just tuning in, you're tuning in to Clean Greens Living Show, and we have Ty here, and we're broadcasting off of Rainier Avenue Radio. We are talking about mindfulness and the importance of sitting still. People don't understand the importance of sitting still. So I love it when people ask you, what do? You say, I help people be still.
Yeah, I help people slow down. But, you know, here's like real talk. Some people are not comfortable with stillness. Some people are not comfortable with what may come in stillness. And so I understand why, you know, it might be strange to some people. The other thing too, Bree, is from a trauma sensitive perspective, when you were saying, what, I got to close my eyes, I have trust issues. There are lots of different mindfulness practices with a trauma sensitive lens. So silence might not work for people. Closing your eyes might not work for people. So in class, like I know I have your daughter in my class, both of your daughters in my class right now. But, you know, when I lead them through a mindfulness practice, I might say, you always have the choice to keep your eyes open, or maybe you rest your eyes, or if it feels comfortable, close your eyes. And of course, we don't have time to talk about all of it right now, but there are lots of different ways to practice mindfulness. The idea is to find what works for you, because rhythm and repetition is the key. If you can slow down for 2 minutes every day, hopefully you find that will make a difference. I would rather you sit, you know, and do a breathing practice or a listening practice or something every day for 2 minutes, rather than saying on Thursday at 3:30, I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes. That is not going to be as effective as you doing multiple practices that are smaller, but on a consistent basis. Does that make sense?
That makes perfectly sense. And thank you, Sanika Kali. She told us that the scripture is Psalms 46. So there we go. We have our scripture. We appreciate you. But yeah, no, that makes total sense. It's like being calm doesn't have to happen 30 minutes every day. It can just be moments out of the day. We have 1 minute, Ty. Can you please give us like maybe 3 tips people can start with their mindfulness?
Okay. So rhythm and repetition is what I just like. Rhythm and repetition, 30 minutes counts. If you take 30 seconds to just follow your breath, like right now, if you just listen to your breath or follow it, you might notice your chest rising and falling. You might notice your belly expanding and contracting. You might notice air passing through your nose as you breathe. That's a mindfulness practice. So rhythm and repetition. The other thing that's really important is if you find your mind wandering.
Sorry, Ty, we only got 30 seconds, guys. Sorry, we'll put those tips on. We'll put those tips on our Instagram. Traffic up next. Traffic Jam. Thank you for tuning in to Clean Greens Live.
So great to be here, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.